lift heavy because you can do it, and start tracking your weights and push yourself. You can lift a lot heavier than you think, and you will also progress a lot faster than you think. Good morning. I'm just getting ready for the gym. I'm gonna hit up the gym at my condo here. I have been incorporating more CrossFit, which we've been loving. I'm just gonna turn this podcast off. But I figured I'd do some vlogging today because I'm just in a good mood. I mean, it's TGI Thursday. We're gonna do back today. CrossFit yesterday, we did a lot of like push jerks, so a lot of shoulder movement, and I was just on my TikTok being like, oh my god, you guys, like I need to wear a t-shirt to the gym today, because in starting back up at CrossFit, it is like a lot of barbell movements. You're catching the bar on your shoulders, on your chest a lot, and we did like, I don't know, this crazy workout yesterday that was just over 30 reps of like catching the bar and jerking it up. And so I'm a bruiser, you know what I mean? Like if you're a bruiser, you know, it's it sometimes can be a little bit aggressive. So I woke up this morning, went to go get dressed, and I was like, oh, Dinah, we gotta wear a t-shirt today, because I don't know if you can see properly. Like both my shoulders looks concerning. Looks like if you don't know what the bruises are from, or you can't guess, I would say to like a stranger that probably looks a little odd. Once I build up the stamina here, I don't bruise that easily afterwards. But it's been about 4 years since I did CrossFit, so it's been a while since my body's been catching barbells up here. And so we have a t-shirt on today. We're gonna go do some back. We're gonna have a great day. I'm gonna go out for my walk and get my 10K steps after this. Well, not 10K, but I'm gonna go for my morning walk, and then in efforts to get my 10K steps per day, and we're gonna do some work, so I'll take you along with me. We're back. That was a great workout. I did some upper body like I said, so I did back today, back and triceps, and then finish off with a little bit of biceps, and I did some chest. I do chest about like maybe once a week, and I used to hate it, but today I felt strong. Today hit. Carrying on this good mood, and the sun is out. Maybe that's why I'm also like happy. I think I had a lot of caffeine, as you might be able to tell, and had a good workout, and the sun is out. So we're having a great trifecta to start the day. Let's see if you can see. Looking gorgeous. As you know, we are in our locking in era, so I'm going to get outside, go for about a half an hour walk, and then that sets me up really good for like crushing 10K steps per day. And then we're gonna come back, have breakfast. It looks a little bit windy out. I don't know where in the world you live, but like, yo, the wind in the last couple years has been picking up like crazy. I don't know if it's just me, or it's just where I live, or if it's not a thing, I'm just noticing it more, but like every freaking other day is windy. And the wind is the one weather element that it's a no-go for me. Thank you so much. Snow, I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I can handle that. I can bundle up. Rain, put a little hood on, we're going. Sun, obviously gorgeous, amazing, beautiful. Wind, you like can't protect yourself from the wind, you know what I mean? Just after 8 o'clock now, I am at, just from my little morning move around, 775 steps. So let's go get our steps in. I kind of don't want to wear a hat or a toque, but I feel like I'll regret it if I don't. honestly, that was a gorgeous walk. I love starting my days outside. Until I set this goal to hit 10K steps a day, I would maybe get outside a couple times a week for a walk. Since setting that goal, I am outside basically every day, sometimes 2 times a day. And I just feel like that's where life is, you know? Getting outside, getting some fresh air, listening to a podcast, putting your music on. Sometimes I listen to the Activations, the Mimi Bouchard app, and just really like psych myself up for the day, get into good vibes for gratitude, manifestation, all of that. So I am so grateful that this body recomp 4-step formula, one of them was steps, and honestly, it just getting outside is feeling really fulfilling to me, not only for my goals, but just for living life. I just think we spend too much time indoors now. So I highly recommend that you also start to get your steps in, and if you can, get outdoors while you get your steps in. Let's make breakfast. I have been on quite the breakfast evolution lately. I used to always be a smoothie girl, and for years, all I would do for breakfast was a smoothie. And then again, since starting this body recomp journey, I started incorporating more yogurt bowls. So I do yogurt and granola and fruit and protein powder, and then I just found like that wasn't digesting the best. I don't know if it was like the certain combination that would like make my tummy a little bloated, if you know what I mean. So then from there I went to oats because I started doing my carbohydrate research and really wanting to fill my muscle glycogen around workouts after my training. And so I switched over to oats actually for 2 reasons. For muscle glycogen, your body can absorb those carbs better if you have them right after working out, right after using your muscles. And then also just for fiber, for fullness, so I don't get hungry before lunch again. So I switched from smoothies to yogurt bowls to oats with protein powder and blueberries, and I was doing that for a while, which I actually really did like. And then I'm now back on the smoothie train, but I do still want to prioritize a nice dose of carbs right after working out and right after training. So I'm going to make my smoothie and then put my oats in my smoothie and blend that up together. That way I still get the carbs, because blueberries, that is my fruit of choice in the morning. But specifically the carb types of fruit versus oats, the carb makeup is different, if you know what I mean. Blueberries will be more fructose, and then oats is a carb source, but it's more glucose. Long story short, both are great for you, but specifically I want the oats because I want more of that glucose dominant carb source in my body, because that is better for refilling my muscle glycogen, whereas fructose is better for refilling liver glycogen. So different carbs do go to different areas of your body, or are primarily sent to different areas of your body. So that's again why I want to keep my blueberries, but then also add my oats back in, and I just want them in a smoothie format because quick, it's efficient, and I can get on with my day. I do this is so low. I do weigh everything because, again, we're in our body recomp era. I love being precise. I'm a little bit type A, and it brings me joy, okay? And I like to know what I'm putting into my body, and making sure I have enough of everything, making sure I have enough protein, making sure I have the right carb ratios. So I do my blueberries, my coconut milk because I don't have dairy, then my protein powder. This is a new protein powder for me. I will say, if you guys are, well, you guys are probably using protein powder. If you are not using a whey protein powder, then let me just say, not all protein is created equally. There's different amino acids in proteins. So especially when you're looking at protein powders, whey, if you handle dairy, great. Whey is kind of like the gold standard. It has an amazing amino acid profile and really good at triggering muscle protein synthesis. I gotta get off my knees. And then if you don't tolerate dairy, then I would highly recommend a beef isolate protein powder. Make sure it's beef isolate and not like a beef bone broth or a beef collagen, because that's a major mistake I have made. I just realized that about a week ago, and I have been using the beef bone broth protein powder for the last months. I was obsessed with it, got my whole family on it. This protein powder does not have the proper amino acid profile to trigger muscle protein synthesis, which is what we want when we're in our body recomp era. So just a little reminder, or a little nugget of knowledge if you didn't know about protein quality. Okay, is this gonna be awful or is it gonna be good? Again, I'm just wanting these oats for the carbohydrate source, for the fiber, and for keeping me full. Oh God. I think the oats give it like a little bit of a, what's the word? I don't know, like nutty, oaty flavor. The only thing that's throwing me off a little bit is because I think I just switched protein powders. I think this one isn't as chocolatey and strong as my last one, so it doesn't feel as flavor forward. Maybe add a little scoop of cacao powder to make it a little bit more chocolatey. But other than that, cheers. I do want to break down a few points about progressive overload and some tips that if you are also in your body recomp era and your locking in era, these tips are like the top 3 tips that helped me train properly, hit my progressive overload, and start putting on some pretty good muscle. This is the most muscle I've ever had in my life. I'm not like jacked by any means. I'm not like, you wouldn't, I don't know, look at me and be like, oh, whoa, she's gonna be like a bodybuilder. That's not the look I'm going for. I'm not wanting to like prep myself to get on stage, you know what I mean? But I definitely want to look strong. I want to look athletic. I do want to be defined, and I do want some muscle showing. I just want to be lean, athletic, defined, strong, feeling good, feeling energized, feeling like my best self and the highest version of myself. So these are the top 3 tips that helped me so far in my body recomp journey build more muscle than I've ever had in my life. If I was walking down the street and I just had these 2 bruises, like what would your thoughts be? Lovely. What would your thoughts be? What would you think they're from? LOL.
Supposed to have that like absoluteness in it, you know, allowing more of the flow of the method, actually a little bit and trust less, or just creates just knowing less. Well, how can I like I think somebody out there things like YouTube and...
Okay, so here's the thing. Before I get into the first step that was like the biggest game changer to my muscle building body recomp journey, let me just set the scene for you. I grew up playing hockey my whole life, so I'm very into athletics. I love sports. Hockey was really the only thing that I was like relatively decent at, so that's the only thing I did. But I grew up like obviously being very active. Hockey for me was about 5-6 days a week, and then I even went on to play college hockey too. And then once I got out of athletics and hockey, I got introduced to CrossFit, and then for about, I would say maybe like 3-4 years, I was pretty heavy into CrossFit, which I still love CrossFit. And like I mentioned earlier, today I just got back into it. I was dealing with a back injury for the last few years, so that was a goal of mine to get back into CrossFit. With that being said, I love working out. I love going to the gym. I love lifting weights. I'm more of like the weights sporty gal than I am like the Pilates princess yoga type gal. But on my own, I've never consistently followed an actual structured start and date training program. I would just go to the gym, sometimes create my own workouts, not really like, I wouldn't head into the gym knowing what I was gonna do that day. I would just kind of do whatever I felt like. That was only good to a certain extent. And then everything changed when I got on an actual structured training program. And there's a big difference, let me tell you, between going to the gym and working out and going through the motions versus training, lifting heavy, following a structured progressive overload program. Vastly different. And when I switched from going to the gym to work out to following my training program, my results doubled, tripled, quadrupled. There's still obviously a lot of progress that I want to make in terms of muscle building and body recomp, but even over the last, I would say about 3 months now, switching into that training mindset and following a structured program, I'll never go back. So that is tip number 1, is to follow a structured training program. And what helped me the most with this part of my muscle building journey was finding an app. So I right now use the Ladder app, and the reason why I like this app, because I have done apps in the past before that are put out by certain I guess like fitness people online. The thing with me is like I do, for overall consistency and variety, kind of like a sense of newness and variety. When I would use these other apps by other online fitness people, influencers, it wasn't structured in the way where there's like a start date and an end date. And for me, that structure works really well because I know like I'm going hard, there's a certain goal, there's certain movements that I'm progressing in and wanting to lift heavier in. Let's use this one movement, stick to it for a certain period of time, and see how much we can progress in the amount of weight that we lift. And what I found most helpful, this app operates off of a 6-week training series. So every 6 weeks, they structure the workouts and the programs in 6-week blocks, essentially. Each 6 weeks, you have certain movements that you repeat, and you can track your weights that you're using, and they have an abundance of coaches. That is another reason why I love it so much, is because sometimes I'm a little bit more hypertrophy based, sometimes I want to go more athletic conditioning. You can find the coach that fits with the type of training that you like. So I think finding the type of training that you like is also crucial. Know yourself, know what training you love. They have coaches on there that are more like high rocks conditioning training. They have coaches that are dumbbell only if you work out from home. They have coaches that do like 30-minute workouts or less. They have ones that are more CrossFit athletic style, functional fitness, where you're doing more barbell work, or you have coaches that are more hypertrophy, bodybuilding style training. So you can really find the coach that suits you and this training style that you love. So I do put the app on my home screen. I added that widget. Every time I open my phone, I can see like my workouts that I've done that month, every day that's been checked off. That helps keep it front of mind. I also just really love the user interface of it. You can listen to your music. I feel like this is a Ladder ad, but it's not. It's just it's just the certain details of it that help with consistency. I like the 6-week structure. I like that they focus on progressive overload. I like that there's different coaches that you can try. I like that there's different training styles that you can try. I like that you can jump teams anytime. I like that you can have it on your home screen. When you start a workout, they will voice coach you through the workout. You can listen to Spotify and your music at the same time. You can turn the coaching off. So really love that app. But moral of the story is, if you don't have a training program, maybe give that app a try. Or if you want to look elsewhere for a training program, that's totally okay too. Just try and get those elements in there. Usually it should be like a start and an end date. You have a certain selection of exercises that they will build into that 6-week program, or maybe it's 8 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever. But there is a structure to that program. The element that's important is that like during that training series, you should be doing the same movements throughout that series. Let's say hip thrusts. So you'll do that on Monday for 1 week, and then on Monday the next week, you're gonna do hip thrusts again. So it's going to be the same movements throughout that programming. You will then be able to train your body to lift heavier, and that ultimately is what will trigger the muscle growth. So I hope that little tip helps you guys get into a better training routine, a better training structure, and start seeing some muscle growth, because it's really exciting when you start to see, guys, I can't with these bruises, start to see some of your muscle start to show. And it's really exciting too when you're in the gym and you're doing certain movements and you can go up. Like I used to do Bulgarian split squats with a 30-pound weight. Actually, I started body weight first because split squats for me, like, hated any single leg exercises. So I used to do body weight, and then I was up to like using a 30-pound weight, and now I use a 50-pound dumbbell. So it's really rewarding and really exciting to actually track your weights and see your weights going up. and feel stronger, and then also look better and start to see that muscle and all your hard work pay off. Give the ladder app a try if you are looking for something, or find what training style you love too. Like, another message with this is just to know yourself. I know that I love lifting weights. I know that I like going into a gym. I hate working out from home. I know that I like a little bit of athleticism and sportiness. I know that I like more functional fitness, and that really guides me in making my decisions of what training program I'm going to try, and really honestly like what makes me happy and what brings me joy in the gym. So if you like strictly hypertrophy, go and do that. If you like something more cardio based, go do that. If you like Pilates, go do that. I won't hate on Pilates right now. I think it's a great accessory movement. I do just think that you definitely need like to incorporate weights and lifting heavy. Haven't tried one of the Pilates based trainers on the ladder app, but I believe that they do Pilates and strength together. So I think they still lift weights. But anyways, know yourself, know what makes you happy, and lift heavy, because you can do it. And start tracking your weights and push yourself. You can lift a lot heavier than you think, and you will also progress a lot faster than you think. Okay, I need to get out of the house, go get some work done. I've been going to a coffee shop to work lately, which has been really helpful for my productivity. But today I actually think I'm going to go to the library, which I haven't done in about like, I don't know, 6 years. So I drove by the library the other day and I was like, hey, I remember when I was going through school and I used to go to the library every single day to study, and it was such a good little spot to work. Oh God, my food scale is dying. I won't get into it too much right now, but this is my second day trying this. Is ketone IQ. So it's ketones, which are really awesome for just like straight brain fuel. So I'm trying that to help me with my productivity. I gotta weigh it out though, because my food scale is dying. This is what I do if anything's dying. Like, I remember when I was younger doing this with the TV remote. If the remote started dying, we'd like warm up the batteries, produce a little extra energy. I don't know if that's scientific, but it always works. See, it worked. Okay, let's weigh out these ketones, take our little ketone shot, and get to work. Ketones, this is unflavored, and they do not taste very good from what I experienced the other day. So I'm gonna mix it with Zevia. I'm hopeful that that will help mask the flavor. Oh, that didn't help as much as I thought it would. Oh, I don't even know how to explain the flavor. I feel like the more I have it, I will get used to it. It's kind of like cough syrupy. I'm gonna chug it, all is well. Oh, this hurts on my shoulders. If this isn't giving high school, then I don't know what is. Sweatsuit, backpack. I'm not 31, I'm 13. You know what though, when I walk somewhere to go to work, sometimes I'm like, this will be like a 15-minute walk, but sometimes I'm walking 40 minutes and I can't carry the briefcase, the side bag to look cute and professional. So now I just look like I got out of high school. And you know what? That's fine with me. Let's go. Taking me with me. Train back to Boston and we're jumping the gun. I'm so cold all the freaking time. Why? Cause I like it. You know when you just get that one song stuck in your head and you just sing it 70 million times? Back to Boston and we're jumping the gun. Okay, I'm just about to run into Winners and go look for some luggage for a very exciting trip coming up, which I will be telling you about soon, so stay tuned for that. It's gonna be a whole series and you'll see why when I announce it. Before I do that, I just wanted to round out the 3 tips for muscle building. So the first tip was progressive overload. My tip number 2, and this is also huge. I mean, all of them are like the best tips ever, but tip number 2 is to, even within your progressive overload programming, it should be set up with the appropriate structure and the appropriate reps. But let's say if you don't have an app, if you're just doing your own programming and you're going to the gym and you have a few select movements that you feel confident in and you want to put those on rotation, this is one thing that even within my programming, I sometimes will customize or adjust the rep scheme to account for this. And that is lifting to failure. This also changed everything for me. Like I said before, I loved CrossFit. I love that style of training. I love the functional fitness. I love the Olympic lifts. There's a lot that I love about CrossFit, but what I wasn't getting in that training or in any of my other training that I ever did was the actual push to lift until failure. And I really love this rep scheme to do so. So originally in my programming, a lot of the times I was lifting, when I started to lift heavy, I would typically lift between 10 to 12 reps. And this was like a very, very common rep scheme. And there's nothing wrong with that. But personally, what was a huge unlock for me is that instead of lifting 10 to 12 reps and trying to get to failure, I actually reduced it to about 6 to 8 reps. I really love 8 rep mark because then you're still getting a strength benefit, but also hypertrophy benefit, which means your muscle is growing and getting bigger. That also will add to your aesthetic look of just filling out muscle wise and having those muscles look more defined. So there is a difference between strength and hypertrophy. So strength is usually, I'll have to fact check this, but it's a lower rep scheme. It's like between 1 to 3 reps, and where you hit hypertrophy, where your muscle's getting bigger, then you're upwards of like, let's say, I don't know, 5 to 8 reps. And then let's say 8 to 12-ish. These are general ranges, so like fact check this, but this is the general gist of it. High rep is 8 to 12, and that's more muscular endurance. So what I like doing is the 8 reps. If I try and go 10 to 12 reps, let's say I'm doing like a shoulder overhead press and I'm doing 10 to 12 reps, I'm probably gonna grab a 20-pound weight just so that I know that I can actually get to the 10 to 12 reps. But what I notice there is that I pick a lower weight because I'm trying to get to 12 reps, but I don't necessarily get to a full muscular failure. So instead, if I go 6 to 8 reps, I'm gonna grab like maybe 30s on a good day. That increase in weight, I've noticed such a difference in my actual muscle growth, my muscle building, my muscle definition, and I'm actually building muscle. That is my tip number 2, is to pay attention to your rep scheme. And again, if you're just building your own program, look to aim for that 8 rep mark. And then I find that's just like a sweet spot for, it's low enough that you're like, I don't know, you're game to like pick up some heavier dumbbells, but you know, not too high where you're gonna, opt for those lighter dumbbells. And I will leave you with this quote for tip number 2 that is what this is influenced off of, what this is centered around. And this is a quote that I heard from Dr. Shannon Ritchie. I'm sure you've probably like heard her on podcasts. If you haven't, go look her up. She's awesome for muscle building information. And the quote that she has said is that fatigue is not the same as failure. I'm going to say that one more time because it is paradigm shifting. Fatigue is not the same as failure. So just because you're feeling the burn and you're feeling the fatigue in your muscles, that doesn't mean that you're actually lifting to failure. That is enough of a stimulus to trigger muscle growth or your body to build muscle. This is why, let's say things like, again, not to hate on Pilates, but things like Pilates, you are in that higher rep range and you are working on muscle endurance. So you are feeling the burn, you're feeling the fatigue. It does feel like you are doing something, which you are, but it's a different stimulus for different results. Whereas if you are lifting to failure, that means that you, with good form, can physically not do another rep. So I'm going to leave with you with that. I'm going to go look at some suitcases, and then we will round out with tip number 3. I gotta put my shoes back on. Tip number 3, and then stay tuned for the next vlog because I'm so excited to announce what this next series is going to be about, like next series of videos. Woo! I found a couple bags, one big suitcase, Big Daddy, and then a couple smaller 2 different tote type bags. I just don't know the best system for packing for this type of trip. But before I even start talking about my upcoming travels, let me leave you with tip number 3 for building muscle. This one, again, is game changing, is crucial, is one of the most important steps, and that is protein quality. Earlier, you saw me make my smoothie, and I mentioned that not all protein is created equally. So the reason why this is so important is because I fell victim to this up until like last week. The thing with protein, and what I mean when I say not all protein is created equally, is that protein has different amino acid profiles. So there are 20 amino acids, 9 essential amino acids, 11 non-essential amino acids. But within that amino acid profile or structure, like the amino acids that make up tofu or vegan source of protein or a vegetarian source of protein are going to be different amino acids than what makes up an animal source of protein or chicken or beef. So those amino acids are different. And why that's important to pay attention to the amino acid profile, because you should be getting, you know that we're on our 4-step formula. One of those steps is your protein intake. And to further that, your protein quality needs to be high enough. You should be eating, I eat 3 to 4 protein. I'm gonna say protein feedings per day. I'm an animal-based protein girly, so I get all of my protein from chicken, beef, and then also my protein powder. Chicken and beef have great amino acid profiles. I just make sure that I eat enough of them. So that means at least 30 grams of protein minimum per protein feeding, because this is going to give you enough of the amino acid leucine to then trigger or turn on muscle protein synthesis, which is muscle building. So it's going to turn on your body's ability to make muscle. If you don't hit that leucine threshold, the amino acids are still going to be utilized in your body, but it's not actually going to be enough to like trigger that cascade of events that will then cause your body to build muscle. Like I said, I get my protein from chicken and beef and a protein powder in the morning. I was using, because I don't do dairy and I'm not vegan or vegetarian, and I really truly believe in the amino acid quality and profile of animal-based proteins, I was doing a beef protein. But turns out that my beef protein powder was actually not a beef protein isolate. It was a bone broth collagen blend. So that means that the protein powder did not have enough leucine to trigger the most optimal muscle building potential. So I was using ATP. I'm totally not hating on this brand. I really love their protein powder. It tastes really good. It mixes in with things really good. This is vanilla, but I normally do the chocolate. So this one says proteins from beef, bone broth, and hydrolyzed grass-fed beef collagen. Amazing addition to your diet if you want more collagen support, but if you want muscle building like we do, then this one I just started trying. But the reason why I got this one is you want to check your label and make sure it says beef protein isolate. The isolate form is going to give you the most ideal, again, amino acid profile. You might have to take, I think I take about like a scoop and a half of this, a scoop and a half to 2 scoops. Then that hits me into the 35 to 40 grams of protein range. And then that also gives me enough leucine to trigger muscle building. If you do utilize protein powder, depending on what type of protein powder you use, whey, you're probably good. If you're trying to hit, let's say like 30 to 40 grams of protein per serving, then you're probably getting the proper amount of leucine that you need. And if you are doing a beef-based protein powder, just make sure it's a beef protein isolate and not a collagen and not bone broth. Again, they're great products. They just serve a different purpose. Like bone broth and collagen is going to be more beneficial for your hair, skin, and nails, but the beef isolate is what's going to give you that trigger for muscle building. And if you are doing vegan protein powder, then do some research into what amino acid profile it has, and more specifically, how much leucine content is in that protein powder. Then if you're doing animal-based protein for the rest of your actual meals, then just aim to hit that 30 plus grams of protein. So I'm gonna wrap this up now. Those are my top 3 tips for building muscle. And I hope that helps you on this body recomp journey, because as you know, we are in our locking in era, we are in our body recomp era, and we are feeling like our best selves. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and we can be better together. Bye.